The stage of Jimmy Kimmel Live was set for what promised to be a blockbuster interview, with Hollywood legend Sylvester Stallone taking a seat on the iconic late-night couch. The audience roared with excitement as Stallone, dressed in a sleek black jacket and exuding his trademark charisma, waved warmly, his presence filling the room with the weight of his storied career. Jimmy Kimmel, known for his quick wit and playful jabs, kicked things off with a nod to Stallone's latest project, Tulsa King, and his enduring legacy as Rocky Balboa. The conversation flowed easily at first, with Stallone sharing behind-the-scenes stories from his action hero days, his gravelly voice punctuated by self-deprecating humor that had the crowd laughing. He spoke passionately about his work ethic, his family, and his recent foray into television, painting a picture of a man still driven to create at 78. Kimmel, ever the showman, kept the tone light, tossing in references to Rocky and Rambo that drew cheers from the audience. But beneath the surface, a subtle tension brewed, as Kimmel's questions began to veer toward more personal territory, hinting at Stallone's recent public comments about politics and his appearance at a Mar-a-Lago gala. The audience, sensing the shift, leaned in, their anticipation tinged with curiosity about how far Kimmel would push. The turning point came when Kimmel, with a mischievous grin, brought up Stallone's praise for a controversial political figure, referencing a speech where Stallone had compared them to George Washington. "So, Sly," Kimmel said, leaning forward, calling someone the second George Washington, "if that's a bold move, did Rocky take a few too many punches to the head for that one?" The audience erupted in laughter, but Stallone's smile faltered, his eyes narrowing as he shifted in his seat. "Jimmy, that's a cheap shot," he replied, his voice steady but laced with irritation. "I said what I said because I believe in standing up for what you think is right, not tearing people down." The crowd murmured, some clapping in support, others whispering at the sudden edge in the air. Kimmel, sensing he'd struck a nerve, tried to keep it playful, quipping, "Come on, Sly, you're a fighter, can't you take a little jab?" But Stallone wasn't having it. His jaw tightened, and he leaned forward, pointing a finger. "There's a difference between a jab and disrespect, Jimmy. You know that." The studio grew quiet, the audience caught between shock and awe, as the exchange teetered on the brink of something explosive. Then came the moment that would dominate headlines. Kimmel, perhaps aiming to diffuse the tension with humor, doubled down. "Well, I guess George Washington didn't have a reality TV show, right?" The line landed with a thud, the audience's laughter uneven, some sensing the personal slight. Stallone's face darkened, his hands gripping the armrests. "You went too far, Jimmy," he said, his voice low and intense. "I came here to talk about my work, not to be mocked for my beliefs." Before Kimmel could respond, Stallone stood, ripping off his mic and tossing it onto the couch. "I'm done with this," he declared, his words cutting through the stunned silence as he strode off the set, his broad frame disappearing behind the curtains. The audience gasped, some cheering, others booing, as Kimmel scrambled to regain control, cracking a weak joke about needing a commercial break. The cameras cut away, but the damage was done. Within minutes, clips of the confrontation flooded social media, with hashtags like #StalloneWalksOut and #KimmelClash trending worldwide. Fans praised Stallone for standing his ground, while others criticized him for overreacting, sparking a firestorm of debate about late-night TV, celebrity egos, and the line between humor and insult. Backstage, chaos erupted as producers rushed to manage the fallout, their headsets buzzing with urgent chatter. Stallone, still visibly heated, was surrounded by his team in a green room, his phone lighting up with messages from his wife, Jennifer, and industry friends. "I didn't come here to be a punching bag," he growled, pacing the room, his frustration palpable. His team urged him to see the walkout as a power move, a stand against what they called Kimmel's woke pandering. But Stallone was conflicted. He'd wanted the interview to promote Tulsa King and show a new side of himself, not to fuel another media circus. Outside, the studio audience was abuzz, some chanting "Sly, Sly" in solidarity, others gossiping about his dramatic exit. Social media was a war zone, with ex-posts dissecting every second of the clash. Sylvester Stallone just owned Kimmel. About time someone called out his snark, One user wrote, while another countered, "Stallone can't take a joke." He stormed off like a diva. News outlets pounced, with headlines screaming Stallone storms off Kimmel after savage insult. And Hollywood legend shuts down late-night host. The incident reignited debates about Kimmel's style, with critics accusing him of targeting Stallone's politics to score points with his audience. Kimmel, no stranger to controversy, faced a reckoning of his own. In the production booth, his team scrambled to craft a response, aware that the incident could dent his carefully curated image as America's affable late-night host. Kimmel had miscalculated, assuming Stallone would roll with the punches as he had in past playful exchanges, like those with Matt Damon. But the personal jab at Stallone's political stance had crossed a line, and Kimmel knew it. When the show resumed, he addressed the audience with a half-smile. "Well, folks, looks like Sly wasn't in the mood for a sparring match tonight. We love him, and we wish him well." The crowd clapped politely, but the apology felt hollow to some. Behind the scenes, Kimmel's team fielded calls from reporters, while rumors swirled that ABC executives were fuming over the potential ratings hit. On X, fans of Stallone rallied with hashtags like #TeamSly and #CancelKimmel, while others defended Kimmel, arguing that Stallone should have expected the roast. "If you go on Kimmel, you know he's gonna poke fun." One post read, "Sly's too sensitive for this." The clash also sparked broader conversations about late-night TV's reliance on provocative humor, with some commentators noting a growing audience fatigue with hosts who punched down for laughs. The incident's ripple effects were felt across Hollywood, where Stallone's walkout became a symbol of resistance against what some saw as the industry's sanctimonious culture. Supporters argued that Kimmel's mockery of Stallone's political comments was less about humor and more about signaling virtue to a certain audience, a sentiment echoed in posts on X. Stallone stood up to the woke mob, respect. Others, however, saw it as a publicity stunt gone wrong, with one outlet suggesting Stallone's exit was calculated to boost his image among conservative fans. In Montecito, Stallone regrouped with his family, fielding calls from allies like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who reportedly urged him to keep fighting the good fight. The clash also put a spotlight on Kimmel's recent string of controversial moments, with critics pointing to his declining ratings as evidence that his brand of humor was losing its edge. For Stallone, the walkout was a gambly one that could either cement his legacy as a no-nonsense icon or paint him as a thin-skinned star unable to handle the spotlight. As the internet churned with memes and hot takes, one thing was clear: the confrontation had struck a chord, exposing the fault lines between entertainment, politics, and personal honor. In the weeks that followed, the Stallone-Kimmel clash became a cultural flashpoint, dissected on every platform from morning talk shows to Reddit threads. Stallone's walkout was hailed by some as a heroic stand against Hollywood's perceived elitism, with fans on X praising his refusal to be mocked for sport. "Sly's a legend who doesn't need Kimmel's approval," one post declared, racking up thousands of likes. Others, however, saw it as an overreaction, with critics arguing that Stallone's inability to laugh off Kimmel's jabs showed a lack of resilience. "He's been in the game for decades as a how does he not know how late night works?" a pundit quipped on CNN. The incident fueled debates about the role of talk shows in an increasingly polarized world, with some questioning whether hosts like Kimmel were alienating audiences by leaning too heavily into political humor. Ratings for Jimmy Kimmel Live took a noticeable dip in the aftermath, with reports suggesting ABC was pressuring Kimmel to avoid similar missteps in the future. Stallone, meanwhile, leaned into his defiance, posting a cryptic Instagram message about standing tall, which fans interpreted as a nod to the clash. Kimmel, for his part, tried to move on, but the incident lingered like a shadow over his show. During his next monologue, he made a veiled reference to the walkout, joking, "I learned my lesson and next time, I'll stick to asking about Rambo's knife skills." The audience laughed, but online, the response was mixed, with some accusing Kimmel of dodging accountability. Behind closed doors, sources claimed Kimmel reached out to Stallone's team with an apology, but Stallone reportedly rebuffed it, unwilling to let the incident fade quietly. The clash also reignited scrutiny of Kimmel's past jabs at other celebrities, with clips of his mean tweets segment resurfacing, including a staged moment where Sofia Vergara playfully slapped him after a heated exchange. While that skit was scripted, Stallone's walkout was raw and unscripted, amplifying its impact. Industry insiders speculated about the long-term fallout, with some suggesting Stallone's exit could embolden other stars to push back against talk show hosts who cross personal lines. "This isn't just about Sly," one producer told Variety. "It's a warning shot to hosts who think they can say anything for a laugh." For Stallone, the incident became a defining moment, one that both galvanized his fanbase and deepened his resolve to control his narrative. He returned to promoting Tulsa King, using interviews with friendlier outlets to focus on his craft and family, steering clear of political hot topics. Yet the walkout had undeniably boosted his visibility, with Tulsa King seeing a surge in streaming numbers as curious viewers tuned in. In Hollywood, the clash sparked a broader reckoning about the state of late-night TV, with commentators noting a shift toward more authentic, less confrontational platforms like podcasts. Stallone's supporters saw his exit as a rejection of an outdated format, while detractors argued he'd played into the very drama he claimed to despise. As the dust settled, the incident remained a lightning rod, a testament to the power of a single moment to reshape perceptions. For Stallone, it was a reminder of his enduring influence and the price of standing up in a world quick to tear down. For Kimmel, it was a rare misstep, one that left him scrambling to regain his footing as the king of late-night comedy. The world watched, waiting for the next round.